They weren't just stars. They were legends. These 10 golden era actors didn't follow cinema, they created it. Their work shaped everything Hollywood is today. Charlie Chaplin. He wore a bowler hat, a cane, and a little mustache. But what made Charlie Chaplin a legend was something far deeper. In an era where actors relied on words, Chaplin needed none. Through silent films, he made the world laugh and cry without ever saying a single line. His character, the Tramp, was funny, awkward, kind, and heartbreakingly human. Chaplin used comedy to speak truth about poverty, war, and love long before Hollywood was brave enough. Films like City Lights, Modern Times, and The Great Dictator weren't just entertainment. They were art, protest, and poetry in motion. He wasn't just a comedian. He was a visionary, a director, a composer, and a voice for the voiceless. Charlie Chaplin didn't follow cinema. He shaped it. And more than 100 years later, we still feel the magic he left behind. Humphrey Bogart wasn't your typical Hollywood heartthrob. He was rugged, mysterious, a man of few words but powerful presence. With his sharp suits, a cigarette in hand, and that unforgettable voice, Bogart became the face of film noir. He didn't just act, he embodied characters that lived in shadows, loved in silence, and always had something to lose. In Casablanca, he wasn't the hero who saved the day, he was the man who gave it all up for love. That performance alone secured his place in cinematic history. From the Maltese Falcon to The Big Sleep, Bogart redefined cool, not with charm, but with grit and soul. He showed us that toughness could hide deep emotion, and silence could speak volumes. Even decades later, his legacy lives on, in every antihero, every noir, and every broken man with a hidden heart. Humphrey Bogart was Hollywood's quiet storm. Clark Gable. They called him the King of Hollywood, and for good reason. Clark Gable wasn't just a star, he was a force. With his rugged looks, confident smile, and commanding voice, he redefined what it meant to be a leading man. In Gone with the Wind, his portrayal of Rhett Butler made history. He was bold, sarcastic, romantic, and utterly unforgettable. One line, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," became one of cinema's most iconic quotes. Gable brought masculinity and vulnerability together in a way no one had before. He could be tough, but never heartless. Romantic, but never soft. Off-screen, he was equally admired, a war hero, a private man, and a timeless symbol of strength. Even decades later, Clark Gable's image still defines the golden age. He didn't follow Hollywood's rules. He set them. Gregory Peck wasn't just an actor, he was the conscience of Hollywood. With his tall frame, calm voice, and quiet strength, he became the symbol of dignity on screen. His most unforgettable role. Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird, the noble lawyer who stood up for justice in a world full of prejudice. That performance didn't just win him an Oscar, it inspired generations. Peck made morality powerful. He showed that real courage is standing alone for what's right. From Roman Holiday to Cape Fear, his range was stunning, romantic, heroic, intense. But no matter the role, he always carried integrity. Off-screen, he was just as respected, a humanitarian, a family man, and a quiet leader in Hollywood. Even today, when we think of honor in cinema, we think of Gregory Peck. Marlon Brando didn't just act, he transformed it. Before Brando, movie acting was theatrical. After him, it was real. In A Streetcar Named Desire, he exploded onto the screen with raw emotion, slurred lines, and messy brilliance. He wasn't polished, he was powerful. Unpredictable. Electric. Human. Then came The Godfather. As Don Vito Corleone, Brando didn't just play a role, he became the role. Quiet, slow-moving, and full of restrained power, he showed the world that a whisper could be louder than a scream. Brando introduced method acting to Hollywood, and nothing was the same again. He won 2 Oscars, redefined masculinity, and influenced every actor who came after him, from De Niro to DiCaprio. He was rebellious. Complex. Legendary. Even when he was silent, Brando shook the world. James Dean lived fast and became a legend even faster. With just 3 films, he changed the image of the Hollywood leading man forever. In Rebel Without a Cause, he was the misunderstood youth, angry, emotional, and heartbreakingly human. Dean didn't act, he felt everything. Every glance. Every word. Every silence. In East of Eden and Giant, he brought raw vulnerability to the screen like no one before him. He wasn't polished, and that's what made him real. He spoke to a new generation, one that felt lost, wild, and unheard. Off-screen, he was quiet, intense, and deeply private. He raced cars, chased dreams, and died at just 24. But in that short time, James Dean became immortal. A symbol of rebellion, youth, and passion, frozen in time. He didn't grow old. He simply became eternal. Cary Grant wasn't just a movie star, he was the definition of elegance. With that signature accent, charming smile, and effortless style, he brought a rare blend of sophistication and humor to Hollywood. He didn't need to shout or fight for attention, he simply walked on screen, and you watched. In romantic comedies like Bringing Up Baby and The Philadelphia Story, Grant was witty, quick, and full of charm. In thrillers like North by Northwest, he was cool under pressure, a gentleman caught in dangerous games. He wasn't just a great actor, he was a genre of his own. Grant showed that masculinity could be graceful and funny. He proved that you could be tough and well-dressed, romantic and clever. Behind the scenes, he was quiet, thoughtful, and deeply private. He refused to chase awards, but the audience adored him anyway. Even today, actors try to copy his magic. But there was, and still is, only one Cary Grant. Spencer Tracy wasn't flashy. He wasn't dramatic. But when he spoke, the whole room and the screen listened. He brought something rare to Hollywood, realism. In an era of big gestures and theatrical performances, Tracy made acting feel natural. Every line felt like truth. Every silence, powerful. He won back-to-back Academy Awards, starred in over 70 films, and worked with legends like Katharine Hepburn, his real-life and on-screen partner. Their chemistry wasn't just romantic, it was timeless. In films like Captain's Courageous, A Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and Inherit the Wind, Tracy played thoughtful, flawed, deeply human characters. He didn't need costumes or gimmicks, just a stare, a voice, and unmatched presence. Off-screen, he was humble. Quiet. Complex. A man who struggled privately, but gave everything to his craft. Spencer Tracy didn't act like a star. He acted like a man, and that's what made him unforgettable. Even today, actors study him. Because he made it look easy, but no one's ever done it like Tracy. Laurence Olivier wasn't just an actor, he was a force of nature. Before Hollywood knew his name, the stage did. Olivier brought Shakespeare to life with passion, power, and precision. His performances as Hamlet, Henry V, and Richard III weren't just theater, they were legend. When he crossed into film, he didn't leave the stage behind, he brought its depth, its discipline, and its grandeur. He directed, produced, and starred in some of cinema's most ambitious adaptations. And in doing so, he showed that classical acting could be intimate, alive, and breathtaking on screen. Olivier wasn't afraid of complexity, he embraced it. In Wuthering Heights, Rebecca, and Sleuth, he balanced intensity with elegance, intellect with raw emotion. He earned 4 Academy Awards, the knighthood, and the title the greatest actor of the 20th century by many critics. But beyond the awards, it was his voice, his presence, and his devotion to craft that made him eternal. Laurence Olivier didn't just perform great roles. He became them. Orson Welles was more than a filmmaker, he was a revolution. At just 25 years old, he directed, co-wrote, and starred in Citizen Kane, a film still considered the greatest of all time. But Welles didn't rise quietly. He exploded onto the scene with the War of the Worlds radio broadcast, convincing thousands that aliens had invaded Earth. From the start, he blurred the line between art and impact. With Citizen Kane, Welles changed everything. The lighting, the storytelling, the camera angles, even how time moved on screen. He didn't follow Hollywood's rules. He rewrote them. But success came at a price. Studios feared his genius. Many of his later films were cut, censored, or shelved. Still, Welles never stopped pushing boundaries. From The Magnificent Ambitions to Touch of Evil, his work remained bold, brilliant, and ahead of its time. Orson Welles wasn't just a director. He was cinema's wild genius, the visionary whose shadow still shapes film today. These weren't just actors. They were the architects of cinema itself. Their legacy lives on, in every frame, every story, and every performance we see today. Clapperboard, which one is your favorite? Drop their name in the comments. And subscribe for more legends who made Hollywood golden.